In today's episode, I am sharing 10 farmhouse high-end projects that have that store finished quality to them. All right, now let's get crafting. This project is going to cost me about $2 to make because we're going to use some of these stacking blocks and some of these tongue depressor sticks, these large jumbo ones. I'm going to link the ones I found online down below in my description box. And we're going to start by just simply cutting off the rounded edge on one of the sticks and then repeating that on a whole bunch of other sticks depending on how long you want your pumpkin to become. Then at the end, when you like the length of it, you're going to cut angles on those two, and then the very last one, you're going to line the edges up on that last stick. You can see right here that it's the length of the shortest part of that angle, and then round the last of that stick so it has that rounded edge like a pumpkin. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and bring them all together because we're making a shiplap looking pumpkin. And I'm going to just use some hot glue and place little dots all around the sticks so that I can lay down the supportive stick. This is the back side of the pumpkin that we're building. Once I've got everything all nice and secure, I went ahead and flipped it over, and you can see now the front side looks nice and clean and it looks like shiplap. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and take some of the stacking blocks, and again I'm going to match up with the length of the pumpkin. Once I get it to how long I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and use my staple gun and staple at the joints to make sure that this is really sturdy and strong. You don't have to do the staples, but I personally don't always trust hot glue because I feel like it can fall apart. So then once I had the hot glue on, I'm going to put the staple side down against the pumpkin, and this is going to allow it to hide those staples, look really clean, like it came from a store. And then on the back side, I'm going to put the other supportive bottom piece so that this pumpkin can now stand up. This is so easy to make, and like I said, only costs about $2 with the supplies because I had tons of sticks left over, and I'm not even using all of these stacking blocks. Then I went ahead and gave it a pretty peachy orange color, and then I'm going to come back in and curve rounded brush strokes to create the roundness of a pumpkin, and this gives that depth perception that you would see on a pumpkin by curving out your lines. Then down at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and paint that white so that it has some contrast from the orange that we've got on the pumpkin. And I did paint the backside to make sure that it has a nice finished look. And then up at the top, I'm going to take one of these branch pieces that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just put some hot glue, place that right where I want it to be, and then I'm going to staple it on with my staple gun. Because again, I just feel like with hot glue, it can definitely still fall off. So now that I know that I got it on there nice and secure, I'm going to flip it around on the back side and give it a supportive hot glue ledge for it to be sitting on and holding and gripping onto the back side of the pumpkin so it doesn't fall off over time. Now at this point, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to sketch on the word blessed. You can sketch on whatever you want. It could be your family's name, it could say thankful, it can say harvest, autumn, whatever you want it to say. This is the fun part about customizing this. I also forgot to mention that I did do a little bit of white dry brushing on the sides of the pumpkin to add a little more curvage and depth. Now at this point, I'm coming in with my thin brush head tip on my paintbrush, and I'm going to just take my time and create the thicker lines where I'm coming down and thinner lines where I'm coming back up. And this part is always so therapeutic for me. I just love hand painting. You could use your vinyl cutting machine if you have one, but remember, don't ever be afraid to use your hands and just practice with hand painting. Then once you've got that all painted on, I went ahead and added a bow up at the top because I thought that would be really cute. And then I'm going to add some Spanish moss down at the bottom to give it that farmhouse rustic look. and then it's ready to be displayed. This DIY is super simple, and we're going to be using this fall freebie that has these beautiful sunflowers on it. We're going to use an old food can, a sunflower, and then a piece of foam. Start by cutting out the size of the printable that you would like. I'm going to use the smallest one since I'm using a small food can. You can also use these printables in a frame or in any other kind of project that you might want to. Add some E6000 to the corner since we're going to be putting this on a metal can, and then a little bit of hot glue around those edges just to make sure that it bonds quickly. I like to do both because this is going to add a nice bond. Since we're going to be putting it on metal, the hot glue itself would just pop right off. So I'm going to go ahead and rub that down, and while that all locks into place, I'm going to get this piece of foam and go ahead and cut out a piece that is going to be down to the right size to fit into the can. Once I've got that cut out and I know that it fits, I'm going to go ahead and add on some E6000 to the bottom of my foam piece, as well as some hot glue. And then I'm going to just put that right back down in there and make sure it's nice and secure and glued to the bottom of the can. Now we're going to take this can and we are going to make it look really rustic. I'm going to just take some brown paint and I'm going to just tap all along the edges of that printable, and I kind of go back and forth between the pressure of adding a thick amount of paint to a very light dry brush of the paint. This is really going to add that rustic look to it. Then I'm going to lock it all in with my heat gun. The can will heat up, so be careful with touching the can when you're using a heat gun. And then I'm going to take my paintbrush that I used earlier, get off a lot of the paint, and now we're just going to dry brush on around the rest of the edges of that printable. Now it's time to start inserting your sunflower, and I wanted to have a nice long stem like you would see out in the garden. I'm going to add a black and white gingham bow, and then I'm going to just put that right where the leaves meet up on the stem. I thought that would be so darling. I don't know what it is about bows, but they always just make me so happy on projects like this. So I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue and then put that right on the flower. I think it adds such a pretty feminine touch to it, even though the can is all rusty. And then the last thing I'm going to add on is a little bit more hot glue, add in some of this Spanish moss, and tuck it down into the can. And at this point, it is just such a darling home decor piece that costs almost nothing. For our next DIY, we're going to be taking this wood sign that they have at the Dollar Tree. Now, I think it's cute as it is if you want to use it in like a teen's room, but I wanted to use mine for Halloween time. And friends, I do not like ghouly, creepy Halloween stuff. I like things to be more whimsical. My birthday is actually on Halloween, and I love Halloween, and I do decorate for Halloween, but I go very retro, whimsical looking. I like a lot of black, white, and orange, and I just love pumpkins and little kitties. And once I had it all black, I'm going to take some of my cutout vinyl from my Cricut that I cut out, and I'm just going to place those right on, and then you're set to put it out in your home and decorate with. This craft is going to turn out so beautiful. We're going to use one of these signs from the Dollar Tree and some of these red eucalyptus leaves. I'm going to start by popping off this wood piece at the top and then removing the twine. We're going to repurpose that. Once that was all done, I went ahead and covered the front side with this gingham paper. It's scrapbook paper that was a burgundy red and white. And then on the back side, that's the side we're going to have actually now become the front side. I'm using my tape gun, and I'm going to just go ahead and put on this shiplap paper. And first I always like to kind of cut it down to size once I stick it on. This is the quickest way I like doing it versus tracing it, because sometimes tracing and cutting out does not get an accurate all the way to the edge look that you're going for. So I always like to glue it on, cut it down as close as I can, and then I sand it with a sanding block. So here I am now, it's all covered, and I'm going to add on some hot glue, bring back on that twine, and then that wood bar from before, I'm going to add some more hot glue after I cleaned it up from the original paper that was stuck to it. I'm going to go ahead and put that down, and I've got these little clips that I love, love, love from the Dollar Tree. I use these a lot in my craft room to hold things in place while they dry. And now I'm going to take that eucalyptus, I cut them down to the very bottom of the handle of the floral pick, and I'm going to just take them and twine and wind them all together until I get a really long line of this, and then I'm going to start turning and curving it into a small wreath. I love using these pick stems for making mini wreaths like this. It is the easiest thing ever. Now I'm going to use my big bite, my crocodile. This is the bigger version of the crocodile, and I like it because it gets a nice far in reach. I punched a couple holes, and I'm going to use red zip ties to zip tie this on to my sign. That is going to really hold it in place. So I did it on the sides and the top and the bottom, and the red camouflaged perfectly inside of this red eucalyptus floral. So once everything was zip tied into place, I went ahead and got some of my stickers from the Dollar Tree, put my monogram, my S in the middle, and then the last thing it needed was just a bow at the top, because I love bows here on my channel. I went ahead and made a bow and just popped that right on the top, and it was ready to be displayed. Our next DIY are going to be using these wood squares or wood blocks that you can get from the Crafter Square at the Dollar Tree. I took some really pretty, I know it's going to sound weird, but buttery orange, or I guess sherbety orange. I wanted it to be a really pretty creamy look to it. I don't know why I'm going with creamy in this word, but that's what we're going to roll with. And then I'm going to just put on one coat of paint. I wanted to make sure that the wood grain was still showing through. I loved the idea of that still popping through. Once those were dry, I'm going to take some of these little logs that you can get in the floral section at the Dollar Tree, and then I'm going to simply glue them right to the top of these cute little squares that we just created that are orange. We're making little square pumpkins, and these are so easy to make. These would be the cutest thing to give to someone for a gift if they love fall season, or you just want to make them for your own home. And it can be so cute because you can even put a picture on it or little pumpkin faces, however you want to decorate these. Now I'm going to take some of these garland beaded wires because I love them so much. I think they just work so well on pumpkins. I'm going to coil that around, glue it in place, and they're ready to be used. This project is so easy. Now I know a lot of us picked these up when these were first brought out to the Dollar Tree, and they still have some of these at the Dollar Tree. I found one actually recently, so I don't know if it's an item they're carrying all the time, but I picked it up knowing that this jar could be turned into a cute pumpkin fall Halloween look, and you can do whatever colors you want. I decided to go with white on mine, but it could also be really cute if you painted it orange as well. And I'm just going to go in with a couple coats of my paint color that I desire and just follow along that line, and once it's dry I'm going to sketch on the face that I want, a nice happy pumpkin. And once I've got all of my lines all in place, ready to go, I'm going to come back in with an angled brush, and I'm going to paint in the eyes and the smile. And you could add a nose if you want. I decided not to add a nose. I don't know why. I just liked him more without him having a nose on it. And I thought that this was so sweet. And just take your time on your corners. If you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. You can always just touch it back up again because we're working with paint. Always let it dry if you want to do a touch-up. Let it dry first really well and then go back in and touch up any lines you might have accidentally gone over. Then at the top, to give it some more detail so it's not so plain, I added some twine and then little pieces of fabric cut into triangles to make a banner across the top. I thought this was a very sweet, whimsical touch to put at the top of this mason jar pumpkin. And then to finish the look, I added on a couple of twine bows on the sides to make it look so whimsical and fun. For this project, we are going to be using 3 different fabrics, orange, yellow, and white, 3 sticks from the Dollar Tree, 3 of these foam cones, and 2 wood stars. To start, we're going to go ahead and fill those wood holes that were drilled out from the twine that was able to hang up the star. We're going to fill those in with some wood filler from the Dollar Tree, and then we're going to slowly, with the right size that you need for your dowel sticks that we're going to be putting into this, we're going to drill out 2 holes. Make sure you don't go through your craft table because that would just be terrible. And I'm going to add in some wood glue as well as some hot glue. Now, I found wood glue at the Dollar Tree, which was really exciting. So look in your craft section to see if you can find some in your store. And then I'm going to just put these 2 dowel sticks down inside of there and hold them until they nice and straightly glued hot in place. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take that 3rd stick and we're going to put it into the top cone and then into the bottom cone to create a taller tree, because we're going to create 2 different heights of this tree that we're making, this candy corn tree. And once you've got those nice and dried, you're going to go ahead and move on to your fabric. So I'm going to create a slit at the top and then just rip it all the way down. I love how it has this rough edge to it. It gives it that farmhouse look for the fall and Halloween time. So you can see here that I'm basically taking those fabric strips and I'm pleating all the way around my cones. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 yellow, 2 orange, and then 2 white. And when you get to the very top of your cone, you're going to want to make sure that it's nice and finished at the top, where you're taking your time pleating it and going nice and close to the top. You're going to see it right here where I'm just kind of pushing it up towards the top. And the very last one, it's a pretty thin slit of the white because you want it to be able to come nice and close to the top. And then I'm going to add a cute button for a little bit of a nice pop at the top, a cute little detail. It was a little orange button. And then we're going to add it onto our stick and our star. Make sure it's nice and straight before you let it go so it's not crooked. And then come in with some white paint or whatever color you want to paint your star and your stick at the bottom. I went with white and I did 2 coats to finish the look. Our supplies are going to be 2 of these garden hang baskets. They had these out around springtime and I bought a whole bunch of them knowing that this could be turned into a pumpkin. I was so excited to figure this out. It is the easiest DIY ever. You're going to just take off the wire chains and then you're going to line up the lines on the baskets, and then with some zip ties from the Dollar Tree, you're just going to zip tie every single joint where the bars line up. Then you're going to take your scissors and you are going to snip off the rest of the zip tie, and make sure you take the part that has that little square on the end where it fastens all together, twist that inward so you don't see it sticking out. Once you've got that done, go ahead and take a jar lid that they have at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just use some E6000 so that this stays together nice and tight, because this is going to become the top of our little pumpkin, so we can go ahead and add a stem to it and decorate it however you would like, honestly. Then you're going to take some hot glue on the inside and just glue that in place. Now this tool, it's called a Crocodile. It's used for scrapbooking and fastening on eyelets. I love this tool, but you can see that I used it because it's able to punch through metal like nothing. I mean, it is like using a hole puncher going through paper. So I went ahead and punched 2 holes so I could take some more zip ties and then fasten that to the top without having to worry about it coming off later. Then I took it outside and spray painted a really pretty fun orange color. You could do this whatever color you want for your pumpkin. And then I'm going to scrape off a little bit of the paint at the top because I want to make sure that it bonds well to the actual metal versus the paint. Over time that can peel away and break off really easy. So then I'm going to take one of these little wood stumps that they sell at the Dollar Tree in their floral section, glue that on, and then I'm going to take some of this greenery and staple it to the backside of that little log. And I did that because I didn't want to worry about these falling off over time, and stapling it on there is going to hold everything together nice and tight. I added some more hot glue, and then I'm coming in with this bead garland that you all know that I love here. You're going to see this a lot throughout this video because I think it's so cute when it's coiled and it makes it look like a pumpkin vine, all curly and cute. Then once all that was in place, I added a bow and you are ready to decorate your home. I hope you felt inspired by today's video. Leave a comment down below to let me know which one you like, which one you think you will try, and until the next episode, bye friends!